Hello, Mrs. Johnston here. We are going to apply what we have learned in lesson one by creating and starting our own travel journal where we are going to record information that we have learned in this unit. So we are going to use activity page 1.1. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. We are going to use activity page 1.1. Activity page 1.1 is a map of the world, and we are going to identify and name some of the continents, and some that we have already learned in our story and some we have not learned in our story. So, we learned about Europe in our story, and that in Europe, in Italy, is where Giovanni and Sophia lived. And they were trying to travel to Asia to get spices and cloth. So we learned about those two continents. But there are 7 continents. There's North America, which is where we live, South America, Africa, which we heard about in our story, because at the very end, the Europeans are trying to figure out if they can use a boat to get around there to get to Asia, and then Australia. So make sure that you have some crayons or colored pencils handy. Mrs. Johnston is getting her crayons and colored pencils. And so it wants us to color the continent of Europe red. So I'm getting out my red colored pencil. I am going to find Europe, and I'm going to color Europe red. I'm trying to stay within the lines and color so that when I am through, I can see it clearly and know that we are going to have to add other colors to some of the other continents. So I don't want to color over a continent that I might have to color a different color. So I colored the continent of Europe red. So it said in our story that the Europeans wanted to travel to the Indies on the continent of Asia. They wanted to travel there for their spices. So now we are going to color the continent of Asia green. So I'm going to select a green colored pencil. I am now going to find the continent of Asia, and I am going to color the continent of Asia green. And one thing that I notice while I'm coloring is that the continent of Asia is very large or big compared to the continent of Europe. Once again, I am coloring, taking my time, staying within the lines, because we're probably going to have to color another part on our map. And so I don't want to color over something that needs to be a different color. All right, so we have officially colored Europe red, and we have colored the continent of Asia green. At the very end of the story, the Europeans were trying to come up with a different path to get from Europe to Asia. And so they were trying to figure out if they could sail or use a ship or a boat to go around the continent of Africa and then go east up to Asia. So now we're going to color Africa yellow. So I'm taking out my yellow colored pencil. I am finding Africa on our map, and I'm going to color the continent of Africa yellow. By having the continents different colors, it allows me to visually see the areas, and I can also tell that Asia is much larger in comparison than Africa as well. And Africa might even be a little bit larger than the continent of Europe, too, just by looking at it. But now I can see the three continents that we were talking about in our story today: Europe, which is where Giovanni and Sophia were from; Asia, where they wanted to go to get the spices, and that they couldn't cross through a town called Constantinople; and Africa, the continent that they're going to see if they can go around and go a different way up to Asia. So now we need to come up with a word or a phrase to call our map. So I think that to make it simple and easy, and since we're beginning writers, we're just going to call it Our World Map. So I'm going to write the first word, and because it's at the beginning of a phrase, it's capital. So I'm going to write our. And so our is O-U-R, our. You can go ahead and pause the video, copy that word, and then we will write the next word, our. Make sure that when you put your paper down, that you put a finger space before you put the next word so that all your letters aren't all jumbled together. Our, and the next one that we said we were going to write was world. So world, I will write it, forming my letters correctly. So next is the word world, W-O-R-L-D, world. You may pause the video, write world on your lines, and we will move on to the last word. Make sure that you leave a finger space so that you can see between your words. Our World Map. That's all we're going to call it. Short, simple, but it states what is there. So I wrote the word map, M-A-P. You may pause the video to write the word map. And then at the end of our phrase or our sentence, we're going to put a period. A period is how we show that we are at the end of our sentence. So we've colored in parts of our map, and we've labeled it Our World Map. I hope you enjoyed and were able to follow along with Mrs. Johnston's instructions in our social studies lesson today about continents and maps. And this is just the beginning to this unit. We are going to add more pages to our world map. Till next time, thank you.